Hey folks, welcome to the Moose Whisperer. I got a special guest with us here today, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself and some of his hunting experience. This is my good friend Kiff, who is local to the area here of Morinville, here in northern Alberta, fairly close. I guess we're kind of the south of the north.
Yeah, southern northern.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
In any case, Kiff, put her there, man. It's just so good to have you here. Thanks so much for
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. Great.
We've swapped hunting stories a little bit before. Kiff has actually watched some of my moose tutorial videos because he was going out to do some moose calling, and that's how we first got talking. Is he left a comment on there. He said, "Hey, I'm here again. Maybe this is my year. I'll call in a moose
Every year. Yeah.
So,
yeah, not much to say really. Just kind of new to hunting. I started hunting when I was 40, so pretty late to the game, but really love it. Love hearing everyone's stories, and I love that I'm starting to collect some of my own, and I can share them. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying you had originally a great storyteller in your past.
Yeah. I had a guy named Kurt Schiltroth who I used to work with, and we'd sit out in the mine, out in the lunch shack, and he'd tell us hunting stories, and just one of those guys who could really draw you in with a good story, and yeah, I kind of got the juices flowing as far as hunting and getting out there, and yeah,
Being an outdoorsman.
that's it. Yeah. And now raising my two boys and getting them into it at an early age, a lot earlier than I did. So
Hey, right on. Oh, glad to hear that. So you didn't grow up with it yourself.
no,
You heard about it. You had an interest in it. You gained friends that were hunting, I guess.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the key is making those connections and
Yeah.
get to know people and having them
Now bringing your family up in it yet too. Hey,
That's it.
isn't that what we like to hear? Huh? We're starting a community here.
That's right. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good, and the boys absolutely love it. We do all our butchering. I get my wife involved with the butchering. She hasn't come out hunting yet,
Oh yeah,
but
that's okay.
but she's great at doing the butchering and helping getting everything in the freezer, so right from the field to the table. It's we do it ourselves.
Very nice. So what are we talking? Field dressing and then just quartering? Or are you actually butchering?
We butcher. Yeah, we do it. We do everything at home.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Oh, it's
What, you got
great.
your old meat saw? You got a bandsaw? Or...
No, we do everything with our knives, and usually bring it in and lay it on the dining room table. Sorry to anyone who gets at our table, but it does happen. So
They throw a sheet of plywood down.
oh yeah, we cover paper.
There we go.
Yeah, it's Canada food safe. So it's
Okay, that's good. Right on. Yeah,
so, but no, it's really good, and I love the time I get to spend out in the bush with the boys.
Nice.
You can't beat it.
Nice,
So,
nice. Well,
yeah.
Kiff's got a few pictures that he's going to share with us. He
Mhm.
warned me. He said, I'm not a photographer of any kind, but he'll share some pictures, folks, and I'll put them up behind us here. So everything that you do see behind us here is authentic. It's from Kiff. It's himself out hunting or places he's been and his family and such. I'd like to show as well.
Absolutely.
With that said, why don't you start us out with a good hunting story? What do you got for us?
So this is kind of a recap of our season last year, 2024, and just how it kind of culminated. Spoiler alert: we got an elk at the end, but it's a little bit more than that. It was a season of a lot of disappointment, a lot of heartache, and going home with an empty truck. But so it was my boy's first year, my oldest boy, Evan. It was his first year with his own tags. He did his hunter's ed course, bought him his own rifle, and we were just super stoked to get out. And we knew come November 1st, we had a place to go for rifle. I have some permission up north of us here.
Yeah.
And it's been good to us over the years. We've pulled quite a few deer out of there. I've had friends pull some deer out of there.
Yeah, nice.
So we knew it was going to be a good place to go come November, but we always like to get out a little bit earlier. There's zones a little bit north of us where you can go for early season rifle, and we like to get out. October's far and away my favorite time of year.
Yeah.
So we had plans, and there's a place we normally go in October. Again, usually fold a tag or two when we're up there, but this year things weren't quite lining up the way that they should, and we went out twice for early season rifle, and one was an overnighter. Took both boys up and hit the lease road, hit the public land, did a lot of walking,
Good.
and really put the miles on. And we couldn't kick anything up. So we'd been out a few times. I'd been out a bunch of times with my bow. No tags had been folded. November comes along, and now we're excited because now we can hunt close to home. We can go up to the farm that I hunt at, that I had permission on for a few years, and so now we're excited. And every time we go up, we're like, this is going to be a date. But we were again kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? We didn't have the weather in our favor, and things were kind of weird with the deer this year, it seemed. I don't know if you kind of had the same experiences, but we weren't seeing a lot. So we went up and we came back a couple of times, empty truck and brokenhearted. You get so excited in the morning on the drive up, and then, and it just wasn't a matter of not getting a shot at anything. We just didn't see anything.
Yeah,
so
that's the worst,
And we finally get some snow. It's a little bit post-rut. I think we got the snow, or maybe it was right in the middle of the deer rut. We got the snow.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, and it got cold. So, now here it is. Things are going to change. Now we're going to fold all our tags. We're gonna come back with the truckload, but
I'm sensing you're being too optimistic.
a little optimism is high in our truck in the morning.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So we went up once during the rut and came back again, and then I was looking at my schedule, my work schedule, and Evan's school schedule, and I'm trying to find a day that works. So I pulled him out of school for our last day, because the next day was going to be super, super cold. It was going to be minus 25 or whatever. And then the day before was going to be like minus 16. So I'm like, okay, we can do minus 16. We're hardy boys, we can get out there. Yeah. And so we drive up, and it's private land, and I have permission. And lo and behold, we get there, and there's a truck parked where we normally park.
Oh, man.
So there is another area we can go. So we get over that. We're like, oh, there's never a truck here, and today there's a truck here, and somebody else is hunting here. So we go to plan B, and we set up, and I've had cameras up in this area, a lot of deer, back and forth. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see something this morning. It's cold. There's been snow. It's, just after the rut. Nothing. And we sat for about 2 hours, and I'll give my boy credit. He did great. It was cold.
Yeah.
And we sat, because whitetail hunting, you're sitting, right? And so we didn't see anything again. We get back to the truck. We go find some crown land for the morning. And when we finally come back, we made the decision. We're like, okay, let's go back. Let's set up and get back there. We'll spend the afternoon back at this farm. And we get back there, and the truck's gone. And so we're like, okay, all right, let's go. This is it. This is the place we're gonna get it. And we have a lunch and a little nap in the afternoon. Yeah, as you do when you're deer hunting. You can have a little rest in the afternoon.
That's right. Well, hopefully you'll be working late.
That's right. And that was the hope, right?
Yeah.
So we finally, about 2:00, we decide, okay, let's head out. And we get set up. We pick a spot. There's a few different spots on this land that we can hunt, and so it's all about choices, right? Where are you going to set up? Are they going to be here? Are they going to be over there?
Yeah.
So we pick a spot, and we set up, and you try all the things. Nothing's worked, so we try some rattling. Thought maybe there'd still be some deer looking for a fight. And
what's your setup like, Kiff? So you're just finding a spot where you're kind of camouflaged in, in the wind direction, or do you have a tree stand?
Always playing the wind. I don't have a tree stand up at this place, but always playing the wind. And we thought, okay, there's a little bay in the land, kind of surrounded by some trees, and the farmer had he did Timothy grass this year, so he had a bunch of round bales set up. And we thought, okay, we can sit up behind these bales. Perfect cover. Yeah. We're out of the wind.
Nice.
Because at that temperature, that wind's going to bite right through you when you're not moving.
Yeah, nice.
So we got set up, and we're looking over. And I've I've got a good area set up for my son to shoot. He was good this summer up to 100 yards, and where we were hunting, 100 yards was perfect. Yeah, lots of game trails coming in and out at 100 yards and less. So we're feeling pretty comfortable where we're sitting.
Yeah,
and
pretty cold, but
we're chilly. We're chilly, and all the while
comfortable with the setup, but not
physically. You know, he had his chair and his blanket and everything, so he was good.
Oh yeah, you guys know what you're doing.
Oh yeah, I keep him warm when we're on hunting. So,
I need a picture of that.
Yeah.
With the blanket on, because I'm all sticking
the eyeballs and everything's just as long as I can get the barrel and the scope out.
That's how we do it in Canada, guys.
That's right. Yeah, you gotta bring a blanket when you're hunting, and the hand warmers. Oh, we fly through those in that season. But yeah, we were set up, and every once in a while I'd kind of poke my head above the bales and look the other way, because there's a lot of field to my west.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that we're watching one area, but there's a lot of area over. So I'd poke my head up occasionally. And the thing about this day, we had to leave early because he had a hockey game. So last light was 4:47, but we had to leave by 4. Mm-hmm. So we're going to miss the golden hour, and that's tough, right? It's the last day. You want to stay late, but he loves his hockey. He wants to get back for his hockey game. So we knew 4:00 we're gonna pack up and we're heading out.
Mm-hmm.
And it got about 10 to 4. I remember looking at my phone. It was 3:51, and I kind of looked over at him, and his shoulders dropped, and his head dropped, and because he knew that was it. This was our last day. He wasn't getting his deer.
Sorry, this last day of the season?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I should. Yeah,
oh, no.
I should have mentioned when I was looking at my calendar, my shift calendar. Yeah, it was, I needed to find a day that him and I could get out one more time. So sorry, I should have led with that. Yeah, this was our last day.
Yeah.
And I looked over.
This is your last 9 minutes.
Yeah, 3:51. We knew for the amount of driving to get back, get his hockey gear, get into the city. This was it.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked over at him, and his shoulders kind of slumped. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you, bud. And yeah, he just kind of broke down a bit. I'd walk over, big hug, just.
Well, he's been a trooper all year, right?
All year.
This is like there was overnight trips. There's a lot of sitting out in the cold, and waited,
and he put in his time, and he had earned a deer, as far as I was concerned.
Yeah. So that's hunting, right? So I'm just glad that something you go out to blast up on your first day. You're gonna.
I didn't want to spoil him. I didn't want him to shoot a deer his first day out. That's right. I didn't tell him about all the other deer that I'd seen. I'm just kidding. I didn't see. So here we are. We'd pack up our stuff and we're walking back to the truck. And we're not far from the truck. We'd picked a spot. Not that we're lazy, but it was relatively close. We based everything on wind direction and visibility and whatnot. So we're trudging back to the truck. And I've got his camp chair and his blanket and my backpack and my rifle. And, we're having a bit of a heart-to-heart. And I'm pretty upset with how things turned out. He's obviously upset. And I kind of, as I do when I'm hunting a field and I'm walking back to the truck, I always swing around and I have a look behind.
Of course.
You don't know.
Yeah. Good for you.
And so I did, and I look over to my west, and I saw 5 brown splotches. And I went on Google Maps later that week. It might have even been the very next day. And I measured it because I didn't pull up my rangefinder. They were about 900 meters away, according to Google.
Yeah.
And they were way across this big open field, right against the tree line. So you couldn't really tell what they were. But there was 5 of them, and I'd hunted that field enough that I knew they were kind of out of place.
Mm-hmm.
So my hands were full, so I turned to Evan. I said, Evan, what are those over there? So binos up, and he says, Dad, those are elk.
Oh,
It's like, oh. So I look at the time. It's, now it's 4:00, and I'm thinking cows, because in 8 years of hunting, I have never seen an elk while I've been hunting. During the season, I've had them on camera. I know they're in the area, but it was the last thing from my mind was that we were going to see an elk that day. So I was like, well, we've got time. Well, let's see how close we can get.
Yeah.
It'll be a fun sort of, exclamation mark to the end of the season. Like, yeah, we didn't get a deer, but we got within, 200 yards of some cow elk.
At least you're seeing some game.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, finally seeing some ungulates out there.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I drop his chair and blanket and stuff, and we strike out. So setting the scene, it's a very white field because now we've got some snow. I'm in tan Carhartts.
Yeah.
And my big green winter hunting coat. Evan is head to toe in camouflage, backdropped against this very white field. And we just...
You're both kind of sticking out.
We're sticking out like sore on. But yeah, we have the wind coming from them to us. So we strike out across the field, just trudging along,
Because at this point, you're not trying to get a shot. You're just trying to get a picture.
I can't shoot cow elk. It's the general right now is for bulls only. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, oh, those are cow elk. So we strike off across the field, and keeping in mind, we're, 800-900 meters away from these things. So they're still pretty blurry.
Mm-hmm.
We close about 150, 200 yards. And Evan puts up his binoculars and he's like, Dad, I'm 60% sure one of them's a bull. So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Things are changing. And then we close about another 100 yards, and he puts up his binoculars again, and he says, yeah, there's the one on the right. He's a bull. It's like, okay, it's happening. Things are gonna change here. And so mentally I'm like, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I haven't quite switched to like, we're hunting elk now.
Yeah.
We're still trudging along.
You know what? I think also so your season was so much bad luck, if there's no such thing, but bad luck.
Yeah. Disappointment,
You just thought that was going to continue. And here, good luck was shining.
Oh my gosh. Like, yeah. And it was right in my face, and I didn't even register that this was going to happen. So
I love it.
Yeah. So we're probably at about 500 yards now.
Well, it kept you calm anyways.
Yeah, I had no issues walking into these 5 elk, And so we get to about 500 yards, and now, like, I want to start ranging them, but it's so bitterly cold. It's so cold, and I can't get my fingers to work on my to click the rangefinder. My hand warmers had long since expired. It wasn't happening, and but I managed to click and get it to, I think we ranged it at about 490 yards or something like that. So we're still a long ways away, but now we know one of them is a bull elk, and he's fairly sizable. He's pretty good.
All right.
So now we're being a little bit more careful as we walk. We're not just upright and, trudging along. We're being a little bit more stealthy. And we close about another, I want to say we got under 400 yards.
Yeah.
And I have to, I've got my rangefinder in my hands, and I'm trying to warm it up because the battery's cold and my hands are cold and everything's cold. And I click again. And I told Evan, I said, if we're going to make this happen, I have to be under 300 yards. Like, I will not ethically shoot over 300 yards. So we have to get close.
Know your ranges, know your gun, know how you shoot.
100%. 100%. As tempting as it was, we're in a wide open field. The chances of us bumping them is pretty high, but I didn't want to just take an arbitrary shot just because it was elk. So now we know what we need to do, and we close a little bit more distance, and we can see that the 3 on the left are little raghorns. They're all bulls. It was 5 bulls at the end of November, all out feeding together. 3 raghorns, There's another decent sized one a little bit farther off, but we had this one kind of pegged. He was right in the middle, and we knew he was a really good sized bull. And we get to, I think it was about 370. I think it was 371 or something like that I ranged it at. And we're like, okay, we still need to cover more. We're not close enough. And we're looking at the sun setting. We're watching the clock. We're like, okay, like we're getting after this.
Oh, let's start.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, you're working against the clock.
Yeah,
I'm against. You make up another 100 yards.
We had a ways to go, and as we start getting closer, now we're watching these ones, kind of raise their head, and they're kind of sussing us out. Like there's something's happening in the field.
Oh no!
So we would walk, and Evan would be beside me, and he'd just give me the old, because I'm focused on the one that I want to shoot, and he'd give me just a. And we dropped to a knee.
Well, he'd watch the others.
He's watching the others too. As soon as they lifted a head, we would drop to our knees and just kind of crouch down a little bit. Because again, we're wide open.
Yeah.
It's brown and green blobs in the middle of this white field. So, here we go. And we're getting closer. And we do it probably 4 or 5 times where we'll walk and then drop to a knee. And then they'll go back to feeding. And we'll get up and we'll walk and we'll drop to a knee. And then finally we got to about 350 yards. And again, everything's so cold. And I told her, I said, we need to cover a little bit more ground. We need to get a little bit closer. And now I'm counting my steps as we're going. I'm like, okay, we're at 350. We're going to go, and I'm going to count my steps so I know roughly how close we are. We got through a wide open field. We got to 241 yards.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah. Like, you want to talk about the power of the wind when you're hunting. The wind was coming right from them to us, and we were able to close that much ground. And it was, now it's getting a little bit, not dark, but you know how it is when, the sun goes down, it gets dark fast. And we're still, Evan's watching the clock. I'm getting set up.
It's getting in, so you got 10, 15 minutes.
So I get set up, and I'm, it's happening. Like, this is my first shot at an elk.
How do you got for rest and how you shoot?
So we've got a tripod that I bought earlier in the year, and I've got my 30-06.
Okay.
So I'm shooting for deer. So I've got 150 grain bullets. So not a lot for an elk, but I am diligent about shot placement.
Yeah.
So,
what it's all about.
So I'm pretty confident 241 yards. I can get a good shot at this, and I put it up in my scope. And Spencer, I will tell you, I have never had an animal fill up my scope like this elk did.
So big on deer.
Oh my goodness. The first time I looked through the scope at that thing, I was like, holy smokes, that's a lot of animal right there. And I don't know if anyone shot at a piece of plywood, but that's what it looked like through my scope. It was big, it was bright brown, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. He was looking at us. He was feeding, but he was right head on to us. Mm-hmm. So I had to wait and wait. And we're watching these three over here. And
you wanted a broad shot.
I wanted that broadside shot at that distance with that bullet weight. I wanted him to be turned. Mm-hmm. And so he's looking at us and he's feeding right towards us. And the other guy's in the back. And so we're still watching them because there's two over here that are still pretty suspicious as to what's happening out here. Mm-hmm. So all the while I've got my rifle up, and I'm looking through the scope, and he head down, feeding, head up, head down, feeding. Finally, he turned.
Yeah.
And that's when the heart rate starts going. Like, it's just like, okay, it's one thing to watch him, and you're running out of light, and you think this isn't going to happen. He lifted his head and he turned 90 degrees, and all I had in my scope was him. And it was just like, big breath in, breath out, and just squeeze that trigger, and you hear that thwack.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and all of a sudden his head goes up, and I chambered another one because he didn't drop right away. But all he did is he turned 180 degrees, like he was going to go to the bush, but he turned 180 degrees and then just stood there. And I was like, okay. So I threw another one at him, and he dropped. Boom, down he goes. And I have to tell you, the best part of that entire hunt was my son's reaction. He was ecstatic. And I mean, I was too, but it was so amazing to watch him react like that. So he's beside himself. Right away, he phones my wife, and he says, "Tell me, coach, I'm not coming to hockey tonight. Dad just shot a bull elk." But while he's on the phone with her, the darn thing starts standing up again.
No.
I was like, no, we're not going to lose this. We're not. So I chambered another one. I steadied myself on the tripod again, and I put a third one in him, and that was it. Yeah, he was, but just to see him rise up, I'm like, no, we're not. I don't want to lose this guy. I knew he was hit. I knew the first two shots hit him solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just had enough in him to kind of stand up again, and then I dropped him. But an animal that big sometimes takes, you're not always going to drop him on the first shot.
That's right.
So, yeah, and just so Evan phones Andrea, and we're talking, and there was a lot going on. It was very overwhelming. Like, okay, we've got this huge animal. He's a kilometer from the truck. It's cold now
And getting dark.
Now, as we're walking back to the truck, now it's, the sun's gone, it's getting dark, and the temperatures started to plummet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I got off the phone, and I phoned the farmer and told him what was happening. God bless him. He allowed me to move some bales out of the way and bring my truck onto the field.
Oh, good. Nice.
He is such an amazing guy. I'm so blessed to be able to hunt on his property. And
right on.
so
property owners out there, the blessing you can be to hunters.
Yeah.
Look at this, a young hunting family. And provided that meat for you guys yet too, right?
Yes.
Your whole family will be have meat for a year.
We'll be plowing through that for the whole year. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we went back, Evan and I, we got to the truck, got rid of all our gear. It's like, okay, let's figure this out. Yeah. We got a big animal in the field. It's cold. So I phoned a friend of mine, Evan, and again, it's such amazing people that have been brought into my life here in Mornville. He dropped everything. He came up with my wife and his son and my youngest son, they're best friends. So they all four of them came up together and
sharing the experience too.
Oh yeah. So it was pretty amazing to have everybody there. And
that's another thing of the community of hunters, though, right? You make a phone call. This guy's not expecting it at all. Gets a phone call. Yeah, okay, I'll be right there.
Yeah. on a work night, it was a weeknight, so he had to work the next day. But he was able, and that's not the first time that's happened to me either. It's put in a phone call and have a friend drive, 45 minutes or an hour out to break out the knives and help him pack out. And to be able to drive the truck out there was a game changer because it was so cold. My wife's feet were getting cold. The two youngest boys, they were getting cold. So they were able to come in and out of the truck and stay warm. And yeah,
you were able to just gut them and then get them into the truck.
We quartered them out. We skinned them. We did the gutless method.
Oh yeah,
which only my third time being a part of that. My second animal doing the gutless method, game changer. That was
you like that?
Oh, I love that.
That's my favorite too. Yeah, I would never do an elk or a moose any other way.
No.
I think
I did in the busyness of everything that was happening when I did phone the farmer, I think I did ask him if he had a tractor, actually.
Well, yeah, that's the best. If you got a tractor, forget it. Well, you do.
Yeah. But no, we drove up and we, you know, we just got it quartered up and it was just it was amazing. It was it was the last day of the season. We were on our way back to the truck, literally had closed the door on the season, and in 45 minutes, we had a bull elk down, my first one ever.
Right.
You know, it was pretty special, and that's something I'll have for forever. And we took the skull to a friend of mine down in Cardiff, and we're getting it euroed, and
Nice European mount.
yeah, and my wife has a perfect spot in the house above our stairwell that it's gonna go. So
Really?
Oh yeah,
In the house.
in the house.
Good job.
Did I marry well or
You
what?
did it. Yeah. You go to that guy's house, he's got antlers on the wall. You know.
Yeah.
Wife.
Oh yeah. Yeah. A couple of deer. Each boy has a deer skull in the bedroom, and now we're gonna have an elk in the house too. So it was
Congratulations.
it was a great end to a hard season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you had that for your boys,
Yes.
for yourself and for your boys, that end the season on a high like that. Everyone's encouraged for next year, and I
Absolutely.
look forward to hearing your son's first deer story next year.
I'm hoping we'll have one for you.
Yeah.
So
Kiff, thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
being with me. I absolutely love that story, and I hope to hear some more from you in the future.
I'm happy to share it with you. So thank you very much.
Right on. Folks, you got a story to tell, send it to info@themoosewhisperer.com. I can tell it myself, or if you live anywhere close to the area or willing to make the drive, you can come on in like Kiff did, and we can do an interview like this as well. Let's get our stories out there. Heck, we're not going to be here forever, and we're starting a community here. Let's get this stuff down out and on YouTube for people to see and people to hear. Thanks for watching, folks. More stories to come. Good job, man.
Awesome. That was great. That was a lot of fun.